From the earliest stories we're told as boys, a powerful and seductive narrative is woven into our understanding of love. We are conditioned subtly and overtly to believe that the ultimate proof of devotion is sacrifice. This idea is romanticized in fairy tales, reinforced in popular culture, and often modeled in the relationships we see around us. The message is clear. To truly love a woman is to prioritize her happiness above your own, to place her needs before your ambitions, and to see her well-being as your primary responsibility. This becomes the benchmark for being a good man. The logic seems unassailable. If you love her, you should be willing to give her everything. And so, with the best of intentions, men embark on this path of total dedication. We pour our time, attention, resources, and energy into her, often without reservation. We rearrange our schedules to be available, shift our focus away from personal goals to attend to her desires. And slowly, sometimes without even noticing, we allow our own identity to become fused with our role as her provider of happiness. We hollow ourselves out, believing that this emptiness is a testament to how much space she occupies in our hearts. In the beginning, strategy seems to work brilliantly. She appreciates the effort, basks in the undivided attention, and smiles at the constant validation. It feels good to be put on a pedestal. It feels like love. But this initial phase is a trap, built on a fundamental misunderstanding of genuine attraction. The cruel irony is that the more you make her your entire world, the smaller you become in her eyes. By centering your universe on her, you inadvertently communicate that you have nothing more important to offer, no greater purpose that commands your respect. You become predictable, available, and ultimately unremarkable. Deep down, a woman doesn't want to be the sun around which a man helplessly orbits. She wants to be drawn into the powerful gravitational pull of a man who is already in motion around his own purpose. She is attracted to a man whose life is already full and compelling, a man she can admire and respect for his own achievements and direction. The man who neglects his mission for her isn't proving his love. He is unknowingly demonstrating that he has lost his backbone. His core is not solid, but is instead dependent on her presence and approval. The very qualities of focus, ambition, and independence that attracted her initially are eroded by the very devotion meant to win her over. And what was once attractive now becomes a source of growing repulsion. The attraction between a man and a woman is not a static state but a dynamic energy, a magnetic pull created by the tension of opposites. This fundamental force is known as polarity, the spark that exists between the masculine and feminine energies. Masculine energy is directive. It is purpose-driven, logical, and focused on building and achieving. It provides a stable frame. Feminine energy, in its beautiful complexity, is receptive, emotional, intuitive, and fluid. It responds to and tests the strength of the masculine frame. This interplay is the engine of desire. A woman is instinctively drawn to a man whose energy is directed outward toward a mission, a vision, or a craft that is bigger than the relationship itself. When she observes that you are steadfast, that your focus cannot be easily derailed by her moods, her beauty, or temporary emotional storms, she feels a profound sense of respect. This respect is the bedrock of lasting desire. It assures her that she is with a man of substance, one who is anchored in something more solid and reliable than the fleeting nature of emotion. However, this crucial dynamic is catastrophically short-circuited the moment you decide she is your ultimate mission. By making her the center, you effectively reverse the polarity. You abandon your natural masculine role of leading and building, and instead, you place her in the position of the leader. You begin to orbit her, seeking her approval for your direction, your mood, and your value. You become the responsive one, the follower, while she is thrust into the unnatural role of being the directive force. While she might tolerate this imbalance for a time, perhaps out of comfort or habit, she will never truly thrive in it. A woman does not want to lead a man. She wants to be led by a man she trusts. She doesn't want to carry the weight of being your purpose. She wants to feel carried by the strength and certainty of your purpose. This reversal explains the perplexing shift that so many men experience. The lavish attention she once enjoyed begins to breed contempt not because she is fickle, but because your behavior communicates a devastating message, that you value her approval more than you value your own self-respect and direction. She realizes that she is dictating your value, that her whims can command your entire emotional state. This knowledge is not empowering for her. It is a burden and an attraction killer. Women admire men whose sense of worth is internally generated, men they cannot control. A man who can be emotionally manipulated with a sigh or a crossed arm has no core strength, and thus he offers nothing for her femininity to push against, to play with, or to trust. The mystery and strength that initially captivated her vanish, replaced by a predictable and needy supplicant. The dance is over because she now knows she is leading. And leading a man who is supposed to be leading her feels profoundly unnatural and deeply unsatisfying. The respect erodes, and with it, the very foundation of attraction dissolves. The shift is often subtle at first, a slight change in tone that is easy to dismiss. But as you continue to center your existence around her, her behavior will begin to transform. The warm appreciation cools into a kind of restless probing. This is not a conscious, malicious plan, but a deep, instinctual response to the imbalance you have created. The tests begin. She might pick fights over seemingly insignificant issues, make unreasonable demands, or challenge your opinions with a new intensity. These are not mere arguments. They are deep, subconscious challenges designed to answer one critical question. Is there anything left inside you that won't bend for me? She is searching for the edges of your character, the solid ground of your integrity that she can rely upon. When you consistently fold, apologize to keep the peace, and prioritize her momentary happiness over your own core principles, you fail the test. Every time you cave, you confirm her growing fear that you are a man without a backbone. A man who has abandoned his own truth. This testing cycle is exhausting for both parties, but its purpose is often misunderstood. It is not about creating chaos for its own sake. A woman craves the stability and safety that comes from a man who can resist her. She needs to know that when her own emotions are turbulent and unpredictable, a natural aspect of her feminine energy, you remain an unmovable rock. She needs to pull with all her force and find that you are still standing firm. This allows her to feel safe enough to fully feel her emotions without the terrifying fear that she will capsize the entire relationship. But when she realizes that her slightest mood swing can derail your day, that a moment of silence from her can send you into a spiral of anxiety and neediness, she feels the opposite of safe. She feels burdened with the immense responsibility of managing your emotional state. The weight of being your sole source of validation and purpose becomes suffocating. She begins to resent the very devotion she once enjoyed because it feels less like love and more like a prison of your need. This is the painful, cruel irony that leaves so many men blindsided and heartbroken. After years of sacrifice, of making her the literal center of their universe, they are abandoned. They are left asking the agonizing question, I gave her everything. Why wasn't it enough? The devastating truth is that everything was the problem. In giving her everything, you gave away yourself. You handed her the crown and knelt as a subject, and while a queen might enjoy homage, she cannot love a subject. She cannot respect a man who has no kingdom of his own to rule. She didn't leave because you weren't kind or devoted. She left because you weren't strong. She left for the man who, while perhaps giving less in terms of constant attention, gave the one thing she truly needed, an unshakable center. She was never chasing the gifts. She was chasing the giver who was too valuable to lose himself in the act of giving. The decision to make a woman the center of your life is not a single, catastrophic error, but a slow, insidious process of self-erosion. The consequences are devastating and multifaceted, impacting not just the relationship, but the very core of your being, and paradoxically, her experience of the relationship as well. The first and most personal casualty is your own masculinity. This is not about stereotypes, but about core energy. Masculinity thrives on purpose, on overcoming challenges, on building and protecting. It is an energy directed outward, toward a mission. When you redirect that entire energy stream into a single person, you starve the very engine of your identity. The hunger for your own goals diminishes, the fire to sharpen your craft cools, and the magnetic edge that drew her to you in the first place dulls into predictability. You become a satellite, defined only by your orbit around her. And a satellite has no light of its own for her. The experience of being placed on this pedestal transforms from flattering to suffocating. While it may stroke her ego initially, no healthy woman can long bear the weight of being another person's entire purpose. She knows she is human, flawed, emotional, and inconsistent. The unspoken pressure of being responsible for your happiness, your self-worth, and your emotional stability becomes an unbearable burden. Every bad mood she has is met not with steady understanding, but with your anxiety and need for her to be happy again so you can feel stable. This doesn't make her feel loved. It makes her feel trapped and resented. She didn't want to be your goddess. She wanted to partner with a man who was in his own right purposeful and whole. She wanted to be the complement to a full life, not the sole source of its meaning. Your worship feels less like devotion and more like a demand for her to manage your emptiness. This dynamic inevitably leads to the complete dissolution of your boundaries. When someone is your entire world, the prospect of losing them feels like an existential threat. This terror causes you to compromise in ways you never would have otherwise. You tolerate disrespectful language, you excuse poor behavior, you accept terms that violate your own standards, all under the silent plea of please, don't leave me. You confuse this desperate acquiescence for love and sacrifice. But a woman does not admire a man who has no standards for how he is treated. Every time you lower a boundary to keep the peace, you lower her respect for you. She interprets it not as kindness, but as weakness. She begins to wonder if he won't even stand up for himself. How can he possibly stand up for me? This lack of a firm frame makes you unsafe in her eyes. A man without boundaries is exhausting. He's a project to be managed, not a partner to be admired. The relationship becomes a slow dance of resentment. She resents having to lead. You resent her for not appreciating your total surrender. The tragedy is that this entire collapse was initiated by a misguided act of devotion, a sacrifice that destroyed the very thing it sought to preserve. The path forward is not one of neglect or emotional withdrawal, but of recentering on what truly generates lasting respect and desire. The solution is to understand that the highest form of love is not about making her your purpose, but about inviting her to join you in yours. Your mission, that unique combination of your skills, passions, contributions to the world, must be the unwavering center of your life. This is the anchor that holds fast through all of life's storms, including the emotional waves of a relationship. This is not about being a cold, distant taskmaster. It is about being a man who is so committed to his own growth and impact that his value is inherent and self-evident. He does not need to extract his worth from her validation because he is too busy creating it through his actions. This fundamental shift in priority is what protects the polarity that keeps attraction alive. It ensures you are leading with your masculine energy, providing a stable and directed frame for her feminine energy to flow within. When you build a life that is already full, rich with purpose, brotherhood, and personal ambition, you offer her something far more valuable than constant attention. You offer a world worth joining. She doesn't want to be your source of excitement. She wants to be welcomed into an exciting life you have already built. This allows her to feel inspired and proud to be with you, rather than burdened with the responsibility of being your sole source of motivation. Your relentless focus on your purpose doesn't make her feel neglected. It makes her feel secure. It demonstrates that you are a man of substance, one who cannot be easily swayed from his path. This strength tells her something crucial. If you won't bend for her whims, you certainly won't bend for life's challenges or the influence of others. In that rock-solid stability, she finds the freedom to fully embrace her femininity, to be vulnerable and emotional, without the fear that her intensity will capsize the relationship. This creates the ultimate paradox of attraction. The less you need her to be your everything, the more she will want to be a part of your life. By refusing to orbit her, you become a gravitational center yourself. You become magnetic. She is drawn into your orbit not by your pleas or your sacrifices, but by the sheer power of your own alignment. She may test this frame, pushing against your boundaries to see if you are real, but she never truly wants you to collapse. Her attraction is dependent on your strength. A man who is rooted in his mission shows her that his value is independent and unshakable. This means she must earn her place in his world, not the other way around. This dynamic fosters a deep and enduring respect that blind devotion could never manufacture. Even if she chooses to leave, this man does not crumble, because his life was never built around her in the first place. His purpose, his values, and his mission remain, providing meaning and direction with or without a partner. This is the foundation of a love that is chosen every day, not clung to out of desperation. It is the difference between building a relationship on the solid ground of mutual respect and watching it collapse into the sinkhole of neediness.